Hi everyone! We are now ready to begin our painting, the best part of all, of our hand-painted wood sign. So the third color that you have in your little strip that's different than the other two, and you should know which colors you got anyways, is going to be your word color. Now, for the painting, the best thing to be is loose and relaxed, and this will and should be fun. It could be a bit of a learning curve for you, and so that's why we're doing the demonstration today, to help you out with some tips and tricks. Now, we have two different paint brushes that we'll be using. There's a larger chiseled edge one, as well as a tiny paintbrush, and that's going to be for all of our little detailing. My rule of thumb for the larger one is if you can fit the width of the paintbrush in any section of a letter, then that is a good one to be using. And that way you know what will be a bit quicker versus if you filled in some of the smaller sections if you want a bit more control with the small one. Now the key to doing a hand-painted wood sign is being relaxed, as I mentioned, being comfortable. Don't worry about having your hands on top of the chalk. Do not paint like this. It's not going to be comfortable. Your arm's going to get sore very quickly. You want to be able to relax your hand and use your wrist to do movements with your paintbrush. The more swooping, longer movements you could do with your paint, the more, or should I say, the less rough your edges will be. It will look a lot more organic. Either way, this is a rustic look to how to paint a board that is hand painted, and so you have to remember that in some instances where the board itself may be a bit rough, it is going to have that type of detailed texture look for it. And so the other thing to know is that when we're all said and done, our chalk that is here can be removed after 24 hours of the painting being completed with just a damp cloth, and that will get rid of any of your chalk residue. So no one is going to see the original shape of the letter. If you come in and you slightly paint your O differently, no one is going to know when it is all said and done. So take a little pressure off yourself about it being perfect. It's about it looking organic and being hand painted by you. So I'm going to begin demonstrating today with the larger paintbrush. We want to make sure that we're dipping a lot. We're not going to be filling paint all the way up to the metal on our paintbrush. If at any point you do, probably more for the small one because there's not as much length to the bristles, you're going to want to wash that paintbrush. That means you have too much paint on it. You don't have as much control. It's kind of clumping up. And so what you're going to want to do is dip, dip, dip a lot. You're going to start, just as you get familiar with your paintbrush, you're going to want to start first of all, by being comfortable. So if you have to change the angle of your board in order to get comfortable, you're just going to want to start in the inside of each letter once you have that right angle for each letter. And as you work your way on the inside of a letter, you'll get more comfortable, and you're slowly, just if you've ever painted a room and painted the walls where you haven't used green tape, but you have cut in for the ceiling, it's the same way. You want to let the brush naturally push the paint to the edges and paint along that. Now, you'll see in this stroke that I used all the paint on the bottom side of the paintbrush, and now if I turn it around, there's still paint on top, so I can rotate it completely to finish using up that paint. The more you practice just these basic strokes, the better. You're going to probably want to work from left to right if you're right-handed, and right to left if you're left-handed on your design. That way you don't get your hand in the paint. Please be cognizant of how you're painting so that you don't accidentally get paint onto your board. If you happen to get paint somewhere as a drop on your board, or somehow, some way, a big dollop of paint goes outside of the lines or some instance like that, what you can do is you can take an X-Acto knife, and this is chalk paint. So you'll be able to chisel away some of the chalk paint to just have the background paint color show through again. So we use chalk paint for a reason, to help fix up any errors. Because it's thicker, it chisels away a little nicer. The only thing to know is don't chisel too much. You'll chisel right through to the board and lose your background color. That will be tougher to touch up. So all across my design here, I'm going to be doing anything that is thicker. As you get used to your paintbrush, you'll get a bit more comfortable with using that angle that it has, and you'll see how best you feel you can work. So if you do feel like doing an outline first is more ideal to you with your small brush, go for it. Do whatever is comfortable. Painting at the end of the day is about being comfortable, relaxing, and enjoying. Put on some music, get a glass of wine, Zoom call your friends as you do this, whatever is most comfortable for you. Now with this being chalk paint, I would suggest you do fill in each letter fully before moving on too far into your design. I just wanted to show you some of the thicker strokes. So a lot of the down strokes on letters will be thicker, and then you'll have the up strokes in a script for sure that is a little thinner. So that's when we're going to want to start using our small paintbrush. If you switch between paintbrushes for any period of time, you're going to want to wash the paintbrush so that you don't have hard paint on it. And as you can see, I did just work my way from the middle. And with the small one, you really need to dip a lot. So depending how comfortable you are with the larger brush, even in a script font, you could do quite a bit of the original design with the larger brush, and then come in for some of the details with the smaller when you're comfortable for that. Now with chalk paint, you really do want to spread it out nicely as well, so it gives a nice smooth look and finish when it's all said and done. If you find that your background is very dark and you're using a white or a sheepskin paint for your lettering, you may want to go over some of the portions of the letters a second time just to thicken it up. Even if you did that for the middles of the letters, it'll really help them come together instead of having to go do it through all the letters again. And there you have it. Just touch up any areas that you don't love. You can always take an X-Acto knife just to chisel away a bit of the rougher edges if you feel that there are any. Remember to wait 24 hours before you take off any of your chalk lines, and enjoy your new wood sign.